You're muted.
Yeah, that Streamyard, fix your fucking shit, man. Not gonna say it again. I'm gonna let them know that I'm having issues in this stuff, and I'm gonna rip them a new one because they have actually listened to me before. So, welcome back, folks. It's your pal Orange Hat here with Mara Jade Shadow, for another episode of Thursday Singles, episode 7. Next week is episode 8 for Silver Bullet. Yeah, I just remembered. Boing.
Mhm.
But yeah, tonight we're doing Bram Stoker's Dracula. One of the, honestly, currently to a lot of different people, is the most faithful to the novel adaptation. There are some changes.
Pretty close.
Yeah, there are some changes that they did do, yes. However, this one is actually considered the closest because they not only take or heavily drew on the novel for inspiration, they actually took passages out of the novel and put them in this movie. So, yeah, that goes to tell you a lot of how Francis Ford Coppola was very serious about this. Also, we have one person to thank specifically for this movie, and that is Winona Ryder. She bought the rights to this movie and sought out Francis Ford Coppola for the making of this film. So
I did not realize that. I still think she's gone batshit loony recently, but kudos to her for making sure to, at least bring on Francis Ford Coppola. So, because he was one of the best.
Yeah. Considering she was like what, early 20 or early 20s when she did this movie?
I'd say about mid-20s. About mid-20s. This was the early 90s. So
yeah. So before we get started, let's say hello to the chat. And while you're I'm doing that, highlighting everybody, let everybody know where we can find you, Mara.
You can find me under my YouTube name, Jade Shadow. I should be able to find my channel. Used to be Mara Jade, but changed it because you tried looking at that name, you get a bunch of videos about the character Mara Jade. So changed the name to one of her ships. So very, very few chances of any confusion there. You can also find me on my Kick, where I'll be streaming tomorrow playing the Spider-Man 2 game, and I have my PlayStation controller already with the Spider-Man Venom decal on it. So
nice.
Cheaper, much, much, much cheaper than buying like the actual controller, because they jack up the prices for that shit pretty much. And that's what I'll be doing. And I might try to go live Saturday. I don't know, because I'll be doing a birthday celebration plus siblings hang out in the evening. So that's primarily where you can find me. And I still have my Twitch. But I stream there maybe once, maybe twice a week, if I have a chance. And that's where you can find me. So I'm kind of taking hiatus from making videos because there's really nothing to talk about.
Yep.
Always much to talk about.
Yeah. And my fucking phone our screen turned off. There we go. I like this phone better than my old one. Or even with this big, thick ass case, it can still read my thumbprint. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's great. Because you can't get into my phone any other way. You'd have to cut off my thumb if you want to break into this phone. So anyway, also for me, folks, tonight, Sunday is the end of the Chapter Wick, or the Book of Wick movies with Chapter 4. To me, the concluding chapter. I don't care what anybody else says. That's where they should end it, honestly. But I will accept a 5th chapter if they do it right.
Yeah.
However, yeah. And also Tuesday will be Tuesday theme stream with Live, Die, Repeat, because it's military versus aliens. And then Monday, Mara Jade's channel for Halloween 2. And then we're back with the singles for Silver Bullet. But getting on to this one, we got Bram Stoker's Dracula, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, legendary director, as well as the uncle, I believe, to Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
Have you seen the movie Renfield?
Yes, I have. I actually enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
Same.
And what's her name?
Awkwafina.
Yeah, like she was actually tolerable in the movie.
Yeah.
Like they actually like toned her down enough that she was tolerable, which I was kind of surprised about.
And that was actually something that I touched on during my review. It's like, if you put her in roles like this, she's actually pretty decent in them.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty good.
Or if she's playing against type, because she was in the sequel to the kind of like the reboot of Jumanji in a sense. She was in the second one to that.
Yeah.
So she played one of the avatars in the game. So she's playing against type, and so by playing against type, she's pretty much has to channel Danny DeVito's character through a chunk of the film.
Okay.
Yeah, so like when she's also playing against type in a way, she's tolerable as well. But like when she's herself, I'm like, no, just go away.
Yep. And this movie stars Winona Ryder, Anthony Hopkins, Sadie Frost, Billy Campbell, Tom Waits, Carrie Elwes, Richard Grant, and Gary Oldman. And unfortunately, also stars Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, he was pretty much the only miscast. Everyone else
Francis
around
Ford
him,
Coppola admits that.
Yeah, everyone else around him, good. Even Winona Ryder, even she was a little hit and miss in some scenes, but for the most part, he was really the only miscast.
Yeah. So, another fun fact before we get started, besides the one that I dropped on y'all at the beginning with Winona Ryder owning the rights to this movie, Gary Oldman actually shaved the front part of his head for the older look of Dracula. He also had photos of his young son and would look at them before each take in order to conjure up powerful emotions. This benefited Coppola's vision as he wanted Dracula sympathetic and not just a malicious villain. It was Oldman's idea as well to be a bat creature when he confronted Van Helsing for the first time. So Gary Oldman went all out for this movie.
Yeah. So I don't want to say that the Dracula was like sympathetic in Bram Stoker's novel, but it definitely was the start of romanticizing the vampire. So I can see the progression of romanticizing basically the vampire, Dracula in the novel, and then like progressing it to at least a little bit of sympathy, like making him like a slightly sympathetic character, but still a monster. So yeah, like I can see like that blend with the character, which is kind of what I appreciated, where it's like you kind of feel for him because of the what if Vlad the Impaler actually became Dracula? What if this was his motivation for doing it and so forth? So you have a little bit of that sympathy, but at the same time, it does not shy away from depicting him as like yes, you sympathize with him, but he's a monster, still like through and through a monster.
And so I am gonna try to stay up with the chat, folks, but if I don't, I am sorry, because I'm also going to be controlling timestamps here going through, or I have to actually go to YouTube in order to do it. And let me unhide that. There we go. So yes, we got the movie up. I do not own rights to the movie. Making that clear right now. I do not own rights. I even put it in the description. This movie does belong, I believe, to well, I forget who it belongs to, but all reserved to them. Just don't strike my channel, god damn it. So we have, let me actually hit T and To actually there.
Yeah, Soul Assassin. Like I said, it's like a. He's not
That
entirely
should not be
sympathetic.
playing like that.
Yeah, he's not entirely
There
sympathetic.
We go. Not pause. Okay, this thing is definitely not doing what I want it to do. Okay, better. That's what I wanted. Thank you, you fuckers. Everything is fucking up right now tonight, folks, and I'm really not happy about that. So, getting to it, we see that Gary Oldman has been slaughtering the Turks because he was called out to war because the Turks have basically launched an invasion into Europe at this point. This was 1467, I do believe. Or 1462. The narration, Anthony Hopkins does 3 characters in this movie. The narrator, the captain of the Demeter, and Van Helsing. Because he actually voices...
Isn't he also one of the...
Yes, he is also the priest in this movie, too.
Yeah.
Or in the beginning of the movie.
In the beginning of the movie. He's also one of the priests.
Yeah. Which I actually do have a timestamp showing him. But let's get to this one here. So, yeah, one of the things I like about Francis Ford Coppola doing is how he has these fades that he brings in, like this one here with Winona Ryder, with Elisabetta, as he's praising God. He then has this like psychic feeling that Elisabetta is in danger. So, and one of the cool things about later on in the film, like when Van Helsing is reading on Vlad the Impaler, and you see the picture of him sitting at a table in front of all the impaled people, when it goes to the next scene, when it fades to the next scene, the picture of Dracula sitting is actually where Gary Oldman is sitting in the next scene. They do that so well and multiple times in this film. And so, yes, he heads back home because the Turks shot an arrow and his wife is dead. So let's see here, 239, 406. All right, well, I can get it as close as possible. So, yes. And then basically, Anthony Hopkins, this priest, he's like, she took her own life. Her soul is damned. It's like, her soul is damned. So, yeah, she can't go to the afterlife. He just says it. I mean, this dude is grieving in front of him, and he is just no emotion. He's like, her soul is damned. Or she took her own life. She's not going to go to heaven. Oh, well, yeah, this pisses off Dracula. So Dracula ends up stabbing the cross here, which causes it to bleed, which is very interesting. I mean, because his emotions are so strong. I love this. His emotions are so strong that his renouncing of God essentially caused God to respond. Essentially, is how they are suggesting it in this movie. And so he then drinks from this cross, or the blood that comes from this cross's blood, or that comes from this cross, and saying that I will rise from my own grave to avenge her with all the powers of darkness. I mean, this movie is well written, folks. Very well written.
Yes, and like I said, I still, again, like I know I've said this before, just appreciate, like, it's this similar what if Vlad the Impaler actually did become Dracula. Yeah. Pick a reason why, like defending his people, or out of anger at God. What if he actually did become Dracula?
Oh, believe me, Soul Assassin, the Dracula feeding the fed a baby to his brides. Fun thing about that, I used to watch this movie with no problem. No problem for the longest time. Even through that scene after my first cousin was born, and I had helped take care of him and whatnot. I then saw this movie, and that scene horrified me to the point where I turned it off. I turned off the whole movie, and I'm like, whoa, what just happened here? Basically, I have a very strong paternal instinct, shall we say, that it now causes me a lot of distress to see children or hear children in legitimate distress. So
It's one of the reasons why I refuse to watch the Hunger Games.
yeah,
It's like one thing in that scenario if it's adults in that situation, but it's another thing entirely to me that they're putting children in that situation. I don't care if it's a young adult series. I will not watch it. I will not watch children doing that to each other. I don't care what the plot is.
yeah.
But I've seen enough horror as a military vet, so I'm like, I'm not going to sit through that. I refuse to watch it.
And
like, I actually did catch one of the, it's like, no kids, no dogs. Yeah, I actually did catch a little bit like of the first movie, and that's the reason why. Because I saw that part where I saw kids killing each other, and I was like, no, I'm out.
Yep. And Neozoic asks, how would we compare this one to the original with Bela Lugosi and the one with Christopher Lee? This one is the top Dracula movie, in my opinion. This is the go-to.
I
do like the other ones.
Still be a classic. Yeah, the Bela Lugosi one will still be a classic because that was one of the first talking pictures. It's from 1931. Very much romanticized the Dracula character with Bela Lugosi's portrayal. I did like Dwight Frye's portrayal as Renfield. The Christopher Lee one. Christopher Lee is just a commanding presence in itself. They take more liberties with horror of Dracula, in terms of characters and so forth, because they completely remove certain characters. They combine, because they make Lucy and Arthur brother and sister, and I'm like, nope. But still, like, very good. Like, I think based just mainly because of Christopher Lee's presence and Peter Cushing's portrayal as Van Helsing. So I like all three in their own way, but as far as an adaptation of the actual story, this ranks a bit higher than them. So, but I like each one for different reasons.
Yeah. Now, for the longest time, folks, I thought that this guy was played by Ron Perlman. I was wrong.
I think it's an insult to that actor.
Yeah, I know, right? Considering Ron Perlman's fucking batshit crazy himself. Emphasis on shit because he likes to write stuff with his own shit. But yeah. That's Tom Waits as Renfield, and he's gone insane because of Dracula. And Dracula essentially curses, or I believe that Dracula cursed Renfield so that he cannot feed on anything rich. He can only feed on lower life forms.
He basically turns Renfield into a slave.
Yeah, so basically his living familiar.
Yeah.
So moving on, we then learn that Keanu Reeves takes over Renfield's case, or Jonathan Harker, for this eccentric Count Dracula. What happened to Renfield while he was in Transylvania? Nothing. Nothing. Personal problems.
Yes.
Yeah. What the fuck happened to him, dude? Don't bullshit me here. It's like, what the frick, dude? Yeah. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm not buying that for 1 second. So let me see here. We get this hair. And also, now that I have seen this movie and Bill and Ted's recently, when we did the 1s and 2s for Bill and Ted, I'm almost like wondering, when is he going to say dude in this film?
Yeah. I mean, as far as looks go, yes, he's good.
He's very,
as far
very
as
well
looks.
done. Yeah.
Yeah, as far as looks, he's very good. As far as acting, no.
Yep.
Like I would
And
have
then
maybe cast like I mean I don't know how old Ethan Hawke was at the time, but like Ethan
he
Hawke as
was,
Jonathan Harker.
or what was it? Or I was did a movie, or yeah, I think they actually wanted Ethan. No, wait, that was a different movie I'm thinking of. I'm sorry. Yeah, I just did a Independence Day thing, and they actually wanted him instead of Will Smith, and he's like, Alien saving the world. Fuck that, no. I mean, Ethan Hawke, dude, that movie was actually quite a good hit. Kind of missed that one there. But so yes, he goes to Transylvania, or he first has a nice tender moment with Mina, and they have a nice little kiss. And I do like the thing they do with the peacock feathers here, because they use it as a transition into the next scene where he's on the train, which is 8:55, because all of these things that they do, or Francis Ford Coppola really does a wonderful job with cinematography. This man has a gift, like a serious gift, where you see that, or this train is basically on top of the book or the journal, and also you see the eyes of Dracula watching as he passes, or as Jonathan passes into his lands. I mean, it is just such, the perception of Dracula in this film is pretty much almost godlike, of a sense, because he has or he basically has not omnipresence, so to speak. Well, actually, yeah, he is pretty much omnipresent in this film, because the shadow is cast everywhere, essentially. And then we get the fake ass lightning bolt. I have that as a talking point. Let's see if I can get it. 9:52. Let's see here. Well, yep, that is a fake ass lightning bolt, folks. I've seen lightning do some crazy shit, but I have never seen it do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, at this point, I'm like,
just go with it, right?
Just go with it.
Yeah. And so
I've literally seen lightning come down and then shoot to the side.
Yeah, right. And so then we also have Dracula taking one of his forms to pick up Harker, because the carriage driver is Dracula.
Yeah, like Dracula, in like another form.
Yes, so he takes many forms. Let me see if I can get it. 11:29. Well, and then go forward 5. But yeah, this dude here that's Dracula. And it's actually Gary Oldman in that suit.
When he reaches down to kind of guide Jonathan Harker, and you see it's like, it's like just
like that arm just stretches
to put to guide him into the carriage. Like, it's just creepy.
Yeah, let me see if I can get that, because that is something that was like right here. Also so we're gonna actually play this just a little bit, folks, to give you an idea, because he's reaching out.
Yeah,
and it just stretches and then lift up and guide in.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, dude. It's the inhuman way that they show it, We also get wolves. Also, the blue flames. People wonder what the blue flames were about. Let me see here. 1303, I believe. No, wait. Let's see here. Yeah, the blue flames that he comes through, that are like these blue rings coming up. Well, back these. People wonder what they are. And apparently they are all over Transylvania, where these are places that Dracula has hidden treasure, essentially, or are of importance to Dracula. So, yeah. Now, the shadow of Dracula, my gosh, man, 1303. When we have him introduced in this, let's see here. I mean, here's Gary in all of his old man splendor. But yeah, the shadow of Dracula. I'm sorry. If I'm in 18th century or 19th century Englishman and I see a shadow that's not attached to this man, that moves of its own free will, I'm like, yeah, I'm the fuck out of here.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry.
And,
I wouldn't be able to handle that.
I have to comment that as much as I love this movie, I still cannot get over that choice of a hairstyle for Dracula in this sense. And I love how Hotel Transylvania pokes fun at it. During like the
Even the
costume
Simpsons
party
did
scene
a
at
thing
the
on
end.
it.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even the
because like
Simpsons
it's
did a
like
thing on it.
Jonathan. Yeah, and the character Jonathan, like actually named Jonathan in Hotel Transylvania 2. That was the only costume he could get online that shipped overnight, and it was this look here. So Dracula's like, it looks like you have a baboon's butt on your head. It's like it looks like so I'm like, that's what I now I can't help but say that whenever I watch this movie again.
All right. But yeah, he shaved his head or the front part of his head so he could do that. And I'm thinking to myself, but why?
So
I mean, seriously, why? And then we learn that he's also a descendant of Attila the Hun, apparently, because Jonathan Harker, not Harkin, pisses him off, laughing at the photo and whatnot. And it's like, dude, don't laugh at this man. He'll kill you.
Yeah.
He will like slaughter you utterly. Yes, the Hairy Palms, 1606. Let me see if I can get it here. There. Be close to it. But yeah, well, no, went back a little too far. 1606. Well, we'll go to 1607. That's the shadow. God damn it. And let's go a little further. Because this is the most played spot, apparently, in the film on YouTube. Now, come on. Be kind. No. Yeah. Let's go forward a little bit. God dang it. Well, anyway, he has hairy palms. Now, here's the thing, folks. I looked up, why does Dracula have hairy palms? Apparently, in Victorian England, if you had hairy palms, it meant you excessively masturbated. That's not a joke.
Well, you can't exactly have sex as we know it, so...
I mean... Yeah.
Okay. That's all I can say. Okay.
Yeah. Fucking hairy palms, man. It's like...
I'm trying to see how they leapt to that logic.
I can't. I can't.
I mean, the only I'd imagine like it would actually. I'd imagine like it would be just the opposite, like just wearing down the epidermis because you masturbated a lot, not hairy palms. It doesn't make any sense. Like you're not exactly stimulating hair growth.
There we go. Finally got it. Yeah. I mean, those hands are creaky enough as it is, but apparently, Dracula was a masturbator. according to Victorian England.
Oh yeah, I
Now,
did see that in the chat, Neo Zoic. But I'm kind of glad Christian Slater turned it down because he's not a bad actor, but I would have rather seen someone like Ethan Hawke in Jonathan Harker's role.
I think he would have done a good job. Yeah.
Yeah. It would have been, I think, better than Keanu Reeves, but I think he would have.
Oh,
He would be
better.
He would be
Much better.
one of my first choices. So I'm just gonna say that.
So then his reaction to seeing Mina's picture, his shadow. If you pay close attention, I'm going to try to get it to 1731.
Yeah, like kind of like
1733
lunges at Jonathan.
He
was like, oh. Yeah.
Yeah. His shadow literally just tries to strangle him.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? So it's like, oh my God, you have this. That's my love, not yours, man. Yeah, right there. Yeah. And it's like, God damn it. And he can't do it, or he can't. His shadow is incorporeal, even though his shadow can knock over other things, but it can't choke the life out of Jonathan Harker. But I actually love that because it shows that Dracula's jealousy is ever present. Now, another fun fact. Keanu Reeves' miscasting was shortly acknowledged after the movie. Francis Ford Coppola only cast him because he wanted somebody young and desirable. So
yeah, look how old Ethan Hawke was. This was 1992, right? Early 90s. I'm looking to see when Ethan Hawke was born.
Yeah, and then we get to Lucy and Mina. Now, Lucy is a total spoiled brat and very slutty, even though she's never had sex. But she's just very, sinful. Now, a lot of people actually don't realize this. This movie is perfectly, is actually a perfect allegory of what living in sin will do to you. It's basically not worth it if you are the religious type. It shows
Ethan
that
Hawke was born in 1970, so he might have been just a little too young.
Well, this one was done in 1992, so he would have been like 20 years old.
Yeah, he'd been 22, so I mean, he could have passed for a bit older, but Jonathan Harker is supposed to be a bit like older than that. But yeah, he might have been a bit too young. So, but he's the one I would have cast.
And I can only show this bit of this scene because they're looking at Arabian Nights, folks. And Arabian Nights was the pillow book back in the days of Victorian England, where it was exceptionally sexually graphic. It was basically the Kama Sutra. So, yeah, I'm not going to stay here. 2248. 2248 at Lucy's essentially her suitor party. And Dracula's shadow is actually at the party. Where, let's see here. 2248. Where you can actually see the baboon butt shadow right there.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And how it approaches Mina because, well, he is now aware of Mina. And he is aware that a woman or his wife's reincarnation is alive. And then we get this creepy, and it's almost as if she actually senses it too. And then we get this creepy little bit here. It's like, yeah, I'm looking at you through my shadow.
Yeah.
So then Dr. Seward's journal on Renfield and his provoking of Renfield. It's like, dude, why would you provoke somebody like that, you know?
Well, back then, practices in insane asylums, even for medical or scientific purposes, was pretty barbaric.
Yes, it was.
So,
and we have him here eating, and it's like, actually, they're perfectly nutritious. And I really love the close-up shots here where it shows the darting eyes and how, well, yeah, the insects. And then he's like, my salvation depends on it. Your salvation. And
Yeah.
he's like, yes, I need lives. Lives the best. And then he just covers his mouth really quick because he realized, oh shit, he fucked up. He's not supposed to talk about it in front of others.
No.
And it's a really nice scene. And then we get to Harker's close shave and the cross. So that's 2710. Oops, wrong thing I wanted to hit. I mean, Dracula's movements in this entire scene are creepy as hell. Where he can literally move without shuffling his feet.
Mm-hmm.
The slide, or the Dracula slide, as I call it. Or glide, rather. Oh, yeah. Let's have a little taste of the blood that he just cut his neck with from the thing there. And then he warns him not to fall asleep in any part of the castle. It's old and full of bad memories. So then we get to 28:17, and he sees the cross for the first time around Harker's neck. So here, yeah, the reflection of it, and I love that. It's like, oh, it's like, oh yeah, shit, no. Pause, you thing. I don't want to be struck on here. And he's like, our ways are not the other ways. And you may find some of our ways strange. I've seen so many strange things already. Wolves chasing me through some bloody blue inferno. And then we get, listen to them, the children of the night. What sweet music they make. So you learn that, well, yeah, these are different ways of living. Now, 29:29, where he shortly leaves, and his freaking his shadow goes with him. But he looks out there, and well, yeah, Dracula's crawling on walls, man.
Yeah.
If this would stop buffering. Yeah.
That's
Dracula's crawling on walls right outside the dang door.
Yeah, if you haven't noped the fuck out at that point, that is like basically like,
yeah,
no normal person can do that.
He opens the door. Yeah. I mean, it's like, what is this dude doing? And I mean, basically, he's going out there. He's like, wolves, shut the fuck up. You're creeping him out, and I need him alive and here.
Yeah.
So then we see that, well, I'm only going to go to one shot because Jonathan decides not to listen to Dracula and goes roaming around the fucking castle.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's only, or I can't exactly show you the introductions of the brides. There is heavy nudity there. 34:53. I mean, Dracula basically comes in after they start feeding on him, and he's like, he's mine, he's not yours. And what, are we just supposed to go without money or without anything? And so, yeah, Dracula feeds his brides a baby. Yeah, are we to have nothing tonight? And I'm like, nope. And Jonathan rightfully goes nuts there.
Yeah.
So we then see the Earth go into Carfax Abbey, and I've always wondered, like, who was screaming down in the basement when Dracula comes up. It's Jonathan Harker. I didn't realize this until my adult life, because I first saw I saw this like 2 years after it came out. So I was a kid when I saw it for the first time. And then we get to the Demeter, which I do believe is 30. Or yeah, the Demeter in London. And Lucy and Mia are playing around. They're basically caught in Dracula's thrall, where they're just having fun, but they're still very much aware of Dracula being there because they saw his eyes in the sky.
Yeah.
Which was pretty cool. Now let's see. 39. Yeah, right here. I mean, and also the wolf that escaped from London. If you pay close attention to the wolf that escaped London, it actually, you see one of the bars actually slide to the side so it can go through, which is pretty interesting. It's an objective flaw, but yeah, there he is, his wolf form, or his beast form. And let me see if I can get this right, because if I get it wrong, this stream is pulled. So 4221 or 4241, because he's arriving in London and he is already affecting everything around him. Lucy is possessed. She's going out to well, we learned that she's into furry people. 44 25, no, 20. All right, 44 or 42. Yep, he's feeding on her there. Wrong one. 42. Oh, 20 seconds off. Dang it. No. Well, you know what? Just hit forward 4 times, Dan. I mean, it brings you freaking there. We go. Yeah, when he says "do not see me," when he notices Mina there.
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, do not see me." And there we go. The one frame in which Gary Oldman's face is in the beast's form. I mean, these are small things that just tell you the genius behind Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah.
And let's see here, 44.
And then he's still, like, he's powerful enough that he pretty much almost
tells
wipes
them, "Do not
Mina's
see
memory." Yeah,
yeah.
Wipes Mina's memory of seeing him.
Yep, because it's like, "Do not see me," and well, we also learned that Dracula can go out in the daytime because he's now at Carfax Abbey. And he goes out to meet, or I love this bit here. I'm just going to show a little bit of it. It shows Dracula out and about and how he's among Londoners. It was shot with that old school type camera to basically give you the idea. And so he meets Mina, or he sees Mina out there. And I do like that because he's now Prince Vlad of Sagite. It's like, you could have easily just Wallachia or Wallachia or however you pronounce it. And in this bit, he's like, see me now. He's allowing her to actually see her or see him. So 52. What were your thoughts on this scene where she's very much rude to him at first, but then kind of takes pity on him?
So I think, I kind of understand why she's rude to him initially, because it is like, of that period where it's how do I put this? How do I put this without sounding like a feminist? Like it's like, really, it wasn't really customary for men to engage women like that unless, like, the impression was that they had like other motivations in mind, pretty much. So like, the natural inclination for women would be like, to like kind of shun them if they were alone, pretty much. Because of like the kind of like the prim and proper attitude of the times, pretty much. So not trying to sound like necessarily a feminist, because I'm not trying to paint men as leches or anything like that.
Yeah,
But that was kind of the attitude back then. So I can understand
it was
why she would have
improper.
been initially rude. Yeah, it was improper, pretty much. It's like I can understand why she would have initially been rude to him because of that impropriety of him approaching her like that. But at the same time,
and then he takes
he's allowed her to see him, so that also tells me that he's at least having he's not using his full power on her, but he's using it enough to weaken her, to start weaken any resolve she might have.
And then he takes her to see the cinematograph, which was around that time. I actually looked it up. It was actually around 1897 where that thing was starting to make its debut. And he assaults her and essentially wanting to turn her, but then he remembers his past and how he doesn't want her a part of that. So in a way, yes, we do he's haunted by the past, and then the wolf comes in, and so she's terrified of the wolf and also trying to run away from him, but then he saves her by taming the wolf because he has mastery over the meaner things in life, as Van Helsing put it. Also, Lucy has been fed upon. Go ahead.
I'm still not. I'm still I think my only minor criticism of this is the fact that he's able to walk in daylight. When pretty much vampire lore, even well before Bram Stoker's Dracula, they're unable to walk during the day.
Although they
at least
do
Blade,
give a decent,
I mean, at least Blade, they used sunscreen. So
yeah, but they do give a decent explanation in this, where it is not his natural time, so his powers are weak. He cannot. Turn into bats.
I get the explanation, but at the same time, it's it doesn't just weaken his powers. Physically, he cannot stand the sunlight. Physically, those creatures cannot stand the sunlight. So,
and
that's my
this
one.
Movie does have This movie does actually have some inconsistency because he is out and about in this scene and never again. And even when in the climax where he's racing against the sunset, he doesn't come out until the sun is behind the clouds. So yes, this movie does have that inconsistency. So the only way that I figure that he is able to do it is because, well, it might not be a bright and sunny day. It might be overcast. Who knows? Next scene.
So I know that Neozoic. I know that. I still had a problem with that even with the book, pretty much, because I'm so vampires was the thing I read a lot about when I was a kid. So I still had that issue with even Bram Stoker's Dracula, even as much as I enjoyed his take on it. Vampires are unable to walk in the daylight, and just. But I will say this: at least he doesn't fucking sparkle.
Yeah, right. So then we get the introduction to Van Helsing because Jack Seward has gone to Lucy and seen that she's manifesting blood loss and she's wheezing. She doesn't, or it's unknown that, and yet, so he mentions that he is cabling Van Helsing, and Van Helsing is basically Anthony Hopkins doing the best German accent thing ever, and it's or in this, he's talking about the blood disease syphilis, and it's a part of that sex problem that is engulfing our country, and it's sexually transmitted diseases. So this movie also does have a lot of Christian and Catholic overtones to it, basically saying that people living in sin are more likely to come to a bad end.
Yeah.
And there we go. And so basically that is what his whole thing here is. It's because he also makes the parallel to Christendom. and whatnot. Civilization and civilization have advanced together. It's like,
Yes.
I mean, it really is freaking hilarious when he says that. 55, 54, 56, 54. Harker's being fed upon by the brides. Yep. So he's trying to escape. All the while, Mina is being seduced by Dracula and drinking absinthe and dancing and having a lovely time with him. But however, it is because of his time with, or her time with Dracula, that she is somehow able to tap into her older memories, like how, or not tap into them specifically, but knowledge that she shouldn't have, like how River Princess, and how her tears could basically fill a river and whatnot. Let's see if I can get to it. 50, what was it? 59. Or yeah. Dracula. Oh. 59:34. There it is. Where I can't show too much in this scene either, because he finally goes to Jack and we see the bite marks on her neck. It's actually quite fortuitous that I managed to get this specific scene here, because we see that that's where it's coming from. And then they're like, or freaking Cary Elwes, man, plays bad guys, plays good guys. He plays foolish guys, especially Holmwood, where he's like, I'll give my last drop to save her. Your last drop? Yeah. Well, thank you. You're very welcome here. Yet I do not ask that much of you. Well, not yet. Anthony Hopkins must have had fun playing this. Seriously.
Yeah.
And so they're talking about, well, where did the blood go?
Yeah.
Come on, Jack, you used to be a careful student. Where did the blood go? And then he's like, well, what? Something went in there, sucked it out of her, and flew away, I suppose? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. This is exactly my issue with the recent voyage of the Demeter. And I was like, you're telling me that, granted, a learned man, but someone who has maybe traveled at best to the regions of Transylvania knows more about Dracula and vampirism than a chick who's lived her whole life there and whose village has been beholden to Dracula for centuries. You're telling me that guy knows more than her? I'm like, no, I'm not buying it.
And so he's like, Jack, you are a scientist. Do you not think there are things in this universe that we cannot explain yet are true? Mesmerism, hypnotism. And he's like, you, Sharko, already proved hypnotism. And yet he disappears. And it's like, wait, where the hell did he go?
Yeah, I love that. I think, I agree with Trey that I think Anthony Hopkins had, or you, that he had like fun with this role as Van Helsing. Because he's
very much
very... he's histrionic, but like not overly so.
Yeah,
like there's a little bit of exaggeration to his performance, but at the same time it works because you need that little bit of eccentricity to that character, because like, yes, we know he's right because Dracula is there and vampires do exist, but at the same time it's like he has to come across as, it's like, you sure he doesn't belong in the loony bin? Like, he's like not quite crazy, but
yeah. And then I just love how he responded to this, because he's like, you and Sharko already proved it. I'm going to show a little bit here. And then he just turns around when he's like, wait, where did he go?
Yeah.
And then he's like, wait, where the bloody hell did he go? Yeah, and he's behind the thing the entire time. He's like, yeah, I feel like a blundering novice, because he's smoking behind that pillar there, or that silica thing there. And it's like, she doesn't have a disease. She's being preyed upon. there by something
Yeah.
out there, and we must find it and destroy it utterly. So there we go. And so we get the 106, the date with Dracula, 106/31. Because she describes Transylvania, or his homeland, Transylvania, as if she had been there. And she also can somewhat psychically see her own face in this princess's face, as we see right here, which is nice. And Dracula confirms her, essentially confirms her when she says her tears are a river of sadness.
Mm-hmm.
And the river was called Arshish. And this is a nice scene because it actually does give credence that maybe some people can remember a reincarnated version of themselves or a previous life, because there have been studies in which people can recall older memories that they can't explain because they don't have, or they've never lived them, yet they can remember them.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. Orange Rat and Jade, how you compare Anthony Hopkins' Van Helsing with other versions such as Edward von Sloan, Peter Cushing, Hugh Jackman. Van Helsing by Anthony Hopkins is the best because he has so much fun with it and he is eccentric, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Francis Ford Coppola's like, dude, props.
I mean, Hugh Jackman is like a take on Van Helsing, pretty much, but it's not like the actual character. So I basically put Peter Cushing as a very, very, very close number 2 to Anthony Hopkins. I did like Edward von Sloan in 1931. There is a little bit of that eccentricity, but at the same time, he was I don't want to say too polished, but I prefer how Anthony Hopkins portrays him, just because, like I said, it's like we know he's right, that vampires do exist. Like, he is actually right, but he has, at the same time, it's like, this is a time where he'd still come across as a little bit crazy. So,
yeah.
I think even he understands.
I mean,
that.
later on,
I'm shouting this stuff that I know is right, but you think I'm crazy. So, sort of situation. So you might as well go with that.
And so we get another fun fact here. The screaming child, in which the scene with Lucy as a vampire, this was an on-set controversy, as the screaming child was legitimately terrified. And the on-set child social worker protested multiple takes, but they still did them anyway. So yeah, they legitimately terrorized a kid in order to get the scene right. Just goes to show that you sometimes got to do some heinous shit to get the right shot.
So, but at the same time, I'm like,
113.58.
It's one thing to do stuff like that to elicit genuine reactions from adults, but when you borderline traumatize a child, I was like, I'm a little, no.
58 or 114.1, that worked too. But yeah, and then we see the shark teeth in Lucy here after she goes to visit Lucy, and because Jonathan finally got a letter to her after he escaped Dracula from Sister Agatha's letter to Mina, and also meets Van Helsing where he dances with her, and it's like, how would you know that she was dancing? Because it's almost as if he knows but doesn't really know,
Yeah.
Then we learn of see him learning of Dracula. Let's see if I can actually get the let's see here. Nope, we gotta go. Okay, so 114.52. Let me back it up a little bit. Back it up a little bit. Back it up a little bit. Keep backing it up a little bit. Because now he's learning about it. Or he's learning about Dracula. Or Dracula. Yeah, Dracula. And this is the scene that I was telling you about. Or one of the many scenes that they do. Where you see Dracula is sitting to the right here, and then transfers to where he's sitting right there, which is, this is great cinematography, how they managed to do that multiple times. I mean, it just goes to show that it's like, okay, we got to scan the scene, scan the shot of the book, and then do the wipe so that it works perfectly. That takes effort, folks, especially back in the 90s. Nowadays, it's just easy to do.
Yeah.
But back in the 90s, I'm willing to bet it wasn't, you know?
No, because you would have to superimpose it just perfectly over the shot of Gary Oldman, and then you'd have to, like, so when it's wiped in the editing phase, it's right over him.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And so he starts freaking out because Mina has left. And so we get the wind scene. And we also get Van Helsing's, his madness definitely comes out because he starts humping Quincy's leg. And he's like, your precious Lucy will become a bitch of the devil. The whore of Satan. It's like, oh my God, dude. It was fucking hilarious. And, I mean, he's like, listen here, young man. Oh, yeah, he fucking went all right. And, I mean, he literally grabs Bill Campbell and just starts humping him like a fucking dog humping a leg.
Yeah.
But he explains that Lucy is no random, she's not a random victim. She was basically a willing disciple just because of her being. Yep, I accidentally clicked on that one. That's the scene. Yeah. Oh my God. Yep, here he is, like a dog, humping that leg.
And he's like,
pause.
And Bill Campbell plays like it's like just as American as you can get character.
He's the American, yeah. You're a creep.
Yes.
You're a twisted old buzzard, man. Or you're a sick old buzzard. He's like, listen here, young man.
Yeah.
But yeah. He's like, hear me out, you are, young man. She's a willing recruit, a breathless follower. She is, or I dare say, a devoted disciple. The devil's concubine. Yeah. I mean, he's just gone nuts in the scene.
Yeah.
I mean, we may still be able to save her precious soul, but not on an empty stomach. And it's like, dude, I would have stayed, or you're lucky you didn't stay because, well, yeah, Dracula goes after her and decides to have some, and I can't show the scene because, well, she's semi-naked during the scene. But yes, it is because Mina has left to be with Jonathan to get married. Dracula is lashing out. This whole scene where he is going after Lucy is essentially him lashing out and him basically saying, you know what, screw it. I've been feeding on this one. I'm going to turn her. Maybe she lives long enough to kill everyone around her. You know?
Yeah, it didn't quite work out as planned, but yeah.
She doesn't. Yeah. Because this is basically, it's like Dracula is like, you know what, you're impotent, or these impotent men and their foolish spells cannot save you from my power. The guns and whatnot is what he's referring to as spells because, well, Yeah. Closest thing we got to Lecter versus Count Dracula.
Yeah.
Well, both Coppola and the actress had to sweet talk the child actor and get another scene. Both felt bad afterwards, but got the shot. Yeah. Soul Assassin. I mean, they terrorized that kid.
Mm-hmm.
They terrorized that kid. And it's like, holy crap, man. So, fun fact number 4. Other casting possibilities included Charlie Sheen as John Harker, Juliette Lewis as Lucy, Drew Barrymore as Mina, and Steve Buscemi as Renfield. Thoughts?
Could you say those names again? Because I just caught Steve Buscemi as
Yeah. All right. Charlie Sheen as John Harker.
No.
Juliette Lewis as Lucy. Drew Barrymore as Mina. I'm saying the same damn thing. Nope.
No, I'm trying to picture it. I can picture them in my head, but at the same time, I'm like, nope.
I can't. I can't picture these.
I mean, maybe
any of them.
Steve Buscemi, but Tom Waits was like really good casting for Renfield.
Yeah, he really was. I mean,
but the other 3, I was like,
right, so
no, I'd be like, what are you smoking?
Yeah. Oh, this scene here, or Lucy's funeral scene. You must trust me and believe. Believe. I need you to bring me before sundown a set of postmortem knives. An autopsy on Lucy? No, not exactly. I just want to cut off her head and take out her heart.
Like, take out her heart. I just like nonchalantly like, no, not an autopsy. Like, I already know how she died. I just want to make sure she stays dead. So it's like, I'm just gonna cut off her head. And
I just want to make sure she stays dead. Yeah. Yeah, I just want to cut off her head and take out the heart. He just walked away. He's like, Jack, God damn it.
Yeah. So it's
like, Jack, you gotta fucking listen to reason, man.
Yeah.
So 126:46, the
when
terrified
they see
child
Lucy
scene.
back from the dead, and I think that's when it's okay, maybe we should start listening to Van Helsing.
Yeah, I know, right? All right. So yeah, here is Lucy as a vampire. And I gotta say, folks, when she is getting the cross thrown in her face, oh, that's Carrie Elwes having some bliss, but how about this instead? Let's see here. Driving her back, there we go. Yeah, she's basically a vampire. And well, I'm gonna show it. Fuck it. He just keeps his resolve, man.
Yeah.
And so he basically
the creepy laugh
that
she has,
exercises her ass.
She makes and that goes back down. I was like, oh.
Yep. And then he actually has her husband do the full coup de grace. It's like, courage and it will be done. Take the stake in your left hand and God's put it.
I don't think they married. They were engaged, but I don't think they had a chance to marry. But yeah, like he had a fiance pretty much, do it.
Yep. And then I love this. He's having like a rare cooked turkey or roast. And
like right after this.
How did Lucy die? Well, and then go to this scene here. And she's like, was she a great pain? Yeah, she was a great pain. And then we just cut off her head, drove a stick through her heart, and she found peace. Yeah. He's just fucking nonchalant about it.
I mean, like he's been entirely nonchalant. Like when he was saying how he wanted to cut off her head, take out her heart, and he's eating a full course meal and talking about how yes, she was in great pain, but don't worry, but we made sure she stayed dead.
Yeah. It's like, and then he asks Harker if he partook in anything partook in the blood of any of the demonic women, the brides. And he's like, no. And so they go to Carfax, and let's see if I could find it. Renfield meets Mina. The raid on Carfax. Another fun fact. Oh, no, wait. I already dropped this fun fact. So I'll go to the different fun fact. I have another. Ha ha ha. Video games. Sega and SNES had a game for the film. You played as Harker, not Van Helsing. You had to go fight dragons. You had to fight Dracula. You had to fight all sorts of stuff. But as Harker, not Van Helsing.
I would have preferred it as maybe initially fighting as Harker and then switching to Van Helsing.
Yeah.
But there's I don't know if you saw this bit of trivia, but technically Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder were actually married in this movie of sorts, because the priests they got performing the marriage rites were actually performing the marriage rites with Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder in that scene. Like, look it up. They were actually performing like the actual ceremony. So technically
it was the Latin ceremony.
Yeah, technically.
Holy shit. Okay, yeah. As much as I love you, Keanu, we're getting separated. We're annulling the marriage. Except in the eyes of the church.
Yeah.
Now, this is the bat creature that Gary Oldman wanted to be. Gotta love that makeup.
Yeah.
So the raid on Carfax. Another fun fact, Annie Lennox wrote a tie-in song, which is during the ending credits. Wojciech Kilar scored the film, but Annie Lennox did a song called Love Song for a Vampire. And then we get, because, well, the raid on Carfax, he believes that Renfield betrayed him. And so he kills Renfield by throwing him into the bars.
Renfield did by trying to warn Mina.
Yeah.
But not to the extent that Dracula believed he did.
Yep.
So.
And so then we get the exorcism. Yeah, I'm getting messages. Sorry. And let me see if I can find the right out here. Also, in this movie, Dr. Seward's a morphine addict. I can't remember if that was in the book, because I had read the book before.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember him necessarily being a morphine addict, but it is par for the times.
Yep.
So opium and morphine were like heavily abused during the Victorian era.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, right. So what's the next thing here? Renfield killed by Dracula missed. Dracula Mina and Dracula, he goes to her and essentially she agrees to be turned, and she wants to be turned. He doesn't want to turn her when she agrees, because it's like, you'd be condemned to live as I am, to be dead as well as living, and I can't do that. I love you too much. And she just is all for it at this point. She's giving in to sin, essentially. I would love to hear Odin and his Catholic cabal of friends go over this movie. I mean, they'd probably go nuts because of all the nudity and whatnot, but let's see here. 142.06, because that is like a great shot. Perfect shot right there. Yep. Or right there. Yeah. I can get 102 or 142.07, where they're holding the cross up to him, and he's like, "You think you can destroy me with your idols?" And then he just stamps his foot and lights the cross up. It's like, you guys, the cross doesn't affect him so much because he drank blood from a cross. So yeah, it's not going to work. But I also like how he turns into a bunch of rodents as well. So that was a nice shot.
Yeah.
Van Helsing talks to Mina to track down Dracula, 143-43. Let's see here, because this is also another shot that I actually, or it's one of those special shots that they did. Let's see if I can get it. And because, go back a little bit. Because, yep. Because it was one of those other shots that they do, because there we go. There was the shot of her, or of Jonathan Harker's picture of her, which was at Carfax Abbey being burnt.
Mm-hmm.
So he stole that from John Harker. And if you let me go back here and play it from here for a second. All right, stop buffering anything. So you also see Gary Oldman over her like that, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then disappears. So to show, or that's basically a symbolism in that he is still ever present with her, even though he is distant from her, which is nice.
I mean, now they're connected. Now they're connected because she drank his blood, so they are like mentally connected.
Yep. And Dracula sees through or flees through ships to Transylvania, which should have taken him about a month to get there, because he's got to go the wickedly long way, where them taking train goes through land. However, he still beats him because he can command the winds.
Yep. He can command the weather and animals. So.
Yep, and he also gives her power over the storm, which he does clarify. I give you power over the storms. Fun fact 9, the comic, or there was 2 comics of the movie, or 4-part series of comics done by Topps Trading Card Company. So that's pretty cool. Wonder if those are still out there for consumption. And so then we get to the main chase, where she's going to be used as bait, as is Van Helsing. And let me see if I can get to the right one. Also, love the scene where she tries seducing Van Helsing, or while the brides are teeing her up, essentially, or tweaking her out. And he uses a communion waif to keep her from biting him.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, let's see here. Yeah, they get better. And after the horses are slaughtered from the brides, because, he's like, okay, you killed my horses. I'm going to kill you, or I'm going to kill you. He goes and just slices off all 3 of their damn heads. And I like how when he cuts off the first head, the other 2 react, even though they're still asleep. So it's like they're all connected.
Yep, like I said, which is true.
Yep. And also Dracula reacted when Mina was killed. Or not Mina, but Lucy.
When the brides were killed, because there's again that mental connection. It's kind of like again, like when we're talking about Lost Boys and how they reacted, like they felt it when the one was killed in the cave, pretty much. Like they woke up.
Yep. Let's see here.
And still not a fan. Yeah, I know we don't see the horses going, but I'm still not a fan of that. But at the same time, it's like, at least I don't exactly see it.
Yeah, they don't show the specifics of it.
Yeah.
But then Dracula in his last box notices that Mina is near. And so he basically tells her to get the storm roaring up. because he did give her power over the storm. Now, the brides and Mina on Van Helsing kills 152, 44. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Five. Oh, yeah. Did anybody notice that Dracula's castle kind of looks like somebody just sitting on a throne?
I can see that.
I mean, it does. Bit. It's like an old man just sitting on in a chair or a throne.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, racing against the sunset, Mina commands the storm 155-28 because now she's fluent in Romanian. Because,
Mm-hmm.
So, how did she get fluent in Romanian? Well, she's now basically remembering her old life, which she spoke Romanian. And these guys are racing against the sun, trying to get the Dracula before he can get out there. Pause. Thank you. And fun fact 10, Oldman and Ryder got along for a spell and suddenly were not getting along during the movie. It is speculated that Ryder didn't like Oldman's acting method, but animosity would die and they would become friends once again. And with Winona Ryder looking back on it, saying it was nothing but teen drama, essentially. So, yeah, because there was, they got along great in the movie, but there was a time during the production that she was just really not liking Oldman. Also, another fun fact, Oldman didn't even want to play Dracula. He took the part for two reasons. One, to work with Francis Ford Coppola. And two, to say the line, "I have crossed oceans of time to find you." Imagine those being the two main motivations of playing Dracula, folks.
I mean, I would think that just the opportunity to play Dracula would have been motivation enough.
I know, right? So then, let's see if I can get it. 156-38. Quincy gets stabbed. One of the gypsy people. Now, let's see here. Yep, sun going down. And yeah, we're going to play it just a tiny bit. As soon as the sun goes down, boom! I love that. How he just comes out and it's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Dude,
but Jonathan Harker is like quick enough to slice at his throat.
Get a good slice in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another fun fact, this movie was predicted to be a flop. Hollywood insiders who saw it before release, who had a test screening, were so sure it would flop, labeling it the Bonfire of the Vampires. This movie had a $40 million budget and made $215.8 million in total. I'd say that wasn't a flop, folks.
Nope.
I'd say that's pretty good.
Criticisms I have aside with this movie, this is a very good adaptation of Dracula. I'd say probably my biggest negative with this film is Keanu Reeves' casting. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Yep.
That's pretty much it. As far as everything else, like I said, Winona Ryder's kind of hit or miss, but she's more hits than miss in this film. All the acting is Anthony Hopkins, Bill Campbell, Cary Elwes, Richard Grant.
Got great casting there.
Yeah, great. Gary Oldman, great casting in this film.
Yeah. And then she brings him into the church after he's been stabbed in the heart by Quincy's Bowie knife. And Quincy dies, and we get the line from Van Helsing, "We have become God's madmen," which is actually from the book. So then she is in her last moments with him and realizes that, well, yeah, she still loves him and whatnot. I don't think she ever would go back to Harker. I mean, she still, she loves Harker, but she also loved Dracula in in previous life and this one. And then we see that the cross heals, as well as this is a nice shot here, where it reverts him back to his night or the time before he renounced, as well as his current form. Which was, let's see here. And then he tells her, "Give me peace." So she pushes the knife straight through him and then lops the head, finishing it off. And she looks up, seeing, let's see here, her and Dracula, basically, well, her previous life and Dracula. There we go. Lit up at the top of the church, which is nice. And that's the end of the movie. And a fun fact number 13, Coppola's fresh vision. He wanted a more sad and tragic feel to the film, but also drew heavily on the source material. He wanted to avoid the Bela Lugosi and Lee versions of Dracula, so he went with a more tragic figure, and boy, did that work. It worked. I'm saying it worked.
Yeah.
So that is all I got on talking points. But yeah, this movie holds up today. I mean, it does, or Francis Ford Coppola doesn't need all the fancy special effects to tell the job or to tell the story. He just does a good job with what he has. And objectively speaking, this film does have problems, consistency problems, continuity problems, as well as a miscast. So I would honestly say that I would put this movie at about a 7.5, objectively speaking.
I'd probably put it at an 8. Like I said, the biggest gripe I have is just the miscast for Jonathan Harker.
Yeah.
That's it. The only other gripe I had, and it was more like a nitpick, really. I'd probably give it a bit higher score because really, Keanu Reeves is the only issue I really have, and the other issue I have is, like I said, more of a nitpick. And yes, I know I think implied in the books that Dracula could walk during the day, but at the same time, it's I still had an issue with that even when I was reading the story, because that was to me was as much as I appreciated Bram Stoker's take on the vampire lore itself, it's you're pushing it a little too much. You're pushing it a little too much there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, it's
I mean,
very much
subjectively, I put it at, or I agree with Trey, it's 9 or 9.5. I mean, Keanu is literally the only issue when I look at it from a subjective point of view.
Yeah, I just wish Ethan Hawke had been a little bit older at the time, because like I said, I'm probably going to stick firm to he would have been my ideal casting for a Jonathan Harker, a young Jonathan Harker. But he was only 22, whereas Keanu Reeves was 20. At the time of filming, I would have said it probably been a bit before 1992. So I was Keanu Reeves was 27, so just a bit older than Ethan Hawke. So,
all right, and so yeah, just got a call from a stepbrother saying I got to go pick him up, and so we are going to have to cut this or end this because we are at the end. But yes, folks, thank you to everybody in the chat. I'm sorry I didn't highlight your chats and whatnot. I was doing timestamps. It's hard to do that because I actually got to go over to YouTube to do it, and I'm doing this on a Chromebook. So if I had 2 screens, I could do it better. But anyway, Mara, anything you got coming up before we go?
The only thing I have coming up is I'm going to try to do a solo live stream on my YouTube stream on my live channel tomorrow. I normally do it around noon and then go for about 45 minutes to an hour. And then schedule depending, I'm going to try to do, I know definitely do an evening stream tomorrow on my Kick playing the new Spider-Man game. But I'm going to try to maybe do two gaming streams tomorrow, one in the afternoon playing and one in the evening playing the Spider-Man game, because Saturday I will not be able to really stream at all due to the fact I'll be hanging out with family in one way or another for most of the day and unable to do Talk Nerdy to Us in the evening. So I don't know if Steph is going to do a solo stream or not. So you'll have to ask her. But that's about it. So I'm going to try to stream on multiple times tomorrow because of the fact I can't stream on Saturday. And then Sunday might try to get two others to play Texas Chainsaw Massacre with me rather than Spider-Man to because we're still in October. So still like do a little bit of like Halloween streams, and then hopefully have a concluding, maybe not, but at least a continuation of the D&D Halloween campaign I'm going through with Teresa. So might have a D&D story for you guys. I don't know. We'll see.
Yep. Alrighty. So as for me, folks, you can find me here on my channel, giving you guys any content that I can. Also, rest in peace to Burt Young. Heard he died 10 days ago. However, the news dropped today that he passed. For those of you who don't know, he is from the movie or the Rocky franchise. He played Paulie, and the brother-in-law. And yeah, blessed actor, man. So thank you to Mara for coming on, Trey, Booch Norris, or Fuck Norris, Vanya, Gravy, Soul Assassin, and everybody else. Y'all are freaking awesome people. Stay tuned for Sunday night for John Wick Chapter 4 discussion with my Hat Crew. Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow for Tuesday. And we're back Wednesday on her channel for Halloween 2. And then we're coming next week for Silver Bullet. Anyway, folks, y'all have a wonderful night. Take care, and always remember to stay humble.
Good night.